Super grateful to be with you guys this morning. And it's been such an amazing meditation. It's been such an amazing opportunity to pray each day with you guys. And it's something that, just sharing as an intro to prayer, those of us that aren't familiar with it, that are tuning in today, is that we're really looking at prayer as a universal language. It's a universal language of our individual hearts connecting with the divine heart. And it's that language is, it crosses beyond all boundaries. So no matter what your religious background is, your social background, whatever place you're in your life, wherever you are, distance, country, coronavirus, no coronavirus, doesn't matter, right? A prayer has the ability to transcend all of those things and to connect us to our true nature and to our source. And so we're going to pray today. We're going to take a prayer from one of my favorite spiritual luminaries and saints. His name is Saint Francis, and we're going to take a prayer. We've been touching on this theme of being an instrument, and I gained so much inspiration from him in that way, and it's just such a beautiful prayer. So I'm going to ask you guys to get in a comfortable seat, or if you're standing, just to pause wherever you are right now, to pause any distractions outside, close your eyes, and to connect to your breath. Connect to yourself. Connect to yourself beyond your mind, beyond your name, beyond anything external right now that's taking place in your life. And just sink into this moment right now and let these words touch your soul. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there's injury, pardon. Where there's doubt, faith. Where there's despair, hope. Where there's darkness, light. And where there's sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, and it's in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it's in dying that we're born to eternal life. And so our prayer today is, let us be instruments. No matter what is going on in our life right now, let us take advantage of this consciousness, of this mindset, of this way of being. Let us be instruments and recognize that every moment in our life we have an opportunity to serve. Every moment in our life there's an opportunity to express love and to be an instrument of divine love. And this comes forth in unlimited ways based on the needs of the individual at the time and the circumstance. Please help us to be instruments of your grace in a perfect way that touches people's hearts, and that we feel the closeness to you through our day today. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Beautiful. Man, transported me.
Yeah.
Felt like I just wanted to hear you say that again and again. So beautiful, gorgeous. Thank you.
You're welcome, DG. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's so grateful, the opportunity that we have to pray together. It's such a, it's available to us every moment of our life. And for me personally, it's so easy to forget that closeness, that intimacy, that love, the connection that I'm seeking is right with me all the time. It's right with me every single moment of my life. And I get so distracted. I think I'm the controller. I think I'm the doer. I think that if I don't plan out and strategize every minute, moment, day, week, year of my life, that, life's not going to happen the way it's meant to. And that actually that when I'm able to soften, when I'm able to soften into the present moment, and I'm able to reflect and to remember that my dearmost friend, my dearmost beloved, the source of everything, the most powerful being in existence is sitting in my heart with me.
Yeah.
Sitting in my heart with me. That So that's what I'm reflecting on this morning
Mm,
right now is just wanting to spend a little bit more time, right, throughout my day
mm,
before I go into that action. Just pause and pray before I step into that action.
mm,
Take a
yeah.
moment to pause and
Mm,
pray. What is my intention for this?
yeah.
Is this aligned with my values? Is this aligned with my higher nature? And then to
Mm,
step into that action from there. So
yeah. Beautiful. I love it. I love the mood of surrender and just like, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Yesterday, some questions were coming up. We were talking about inviting Krishna into all our relationships, including our relationship with ourselves and others. And question was, well, how do we do that? And one way of approaching it is the question itself, which I ask a lot, kind of still in some ways insinuates that like I have to figure this out. You know what I mean? I have to like, what am I going to do about this relationship? What am I going to do about the situation? As opposed to really just turning it into an invitation and a surrender of like, I want to help, I want to do something, but I don't know how. So dear Lord, please guide me. Please guide me, and releases us from that feeling of I have to figure it out. I have to be the comforter. I have to be the healer. I have to be the advice giver. I have to figure this out. And as opposed to, I'm never going to figure this out. My dear Lord, you can figure this out. And then as you're figuring it out, I'm just available. I'm just simply available to be used or not used, to whatever degree is needed. Because I think that's also a challenge for us, where when we pray this prayer, for example, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. It can kind of, in a certain sense, if we're not careful, even start to feed the ego in the sense of, okay, I'm going to be the light in the world. I'm going to be the source of hope in the world. I'm going to be the source of joy in the world. And again, it's going to be this shoulding. Somebody's, don't should yourself, don't should all over yourself, because it may just be that actually there's sometimes we can be used in big, tremendous ways, or sometimes we can just be used in very quiet, silent, soft ways. And it just means staying home and spending maybe time. It doesn't have to be as grand or dramatic as we think it will be. And if we sometimes look out and see other people doing these tremendous, being these big lights in the world, and we can kind of get insecure about ourselves. Well, what am I doing? Why isn't God using me in tremendous ways? And it's still, whether he's using us for something big or something quote unquote that we perceive as small, that it's the same mood of surrender in any case. It's the same mood of surrender in any case of, whatever big or small or deed that I feel like I'm just in a mood of surrender. I'm just available in any way, shape, or form. And I don't have to question my value based off the things that I think I'm doing or being used for. But my value is inherent regardless. And if there's some way I can be used, I'm just availing myself to that. And so I was just kind of contemplating that mood of surrender, and that I don't have to figure it out how I'm going to be this source of light or love or joy in the world. I'm just available. I'm just available. And I'm connecting to that sense of joy and light and hope in myself that I'm finding within. And to the degree that can be shared or connected with, beautiful. But regardless, I'm feeling that connection, or I'm striving for that connection personally. Like, my sense of worth and value doesn't come from what I'm used for necessarily, because I may be used or not used in different ways. Used in a positive sense, meaning engaged in the world. So so I was just reflecting on that. Yeah.
Beautiful, Baba. Yeah, beautiful. I'm appreciating just the distinction that you're making, right? Like, what does it mean to be an instrument? It's like, okay, like I'm surrendering, right? I'm making, like you said, it's so beautiful, right? I'm available. Like, I am available. And I think of one of our elders in the community, Adi Purush. He sings this song sometimes in the morning. He says, Lord, I'm available
To you.
to you. That it's this beautiful, it's this calling out that we don't want to be the doers. We don't want to be the controllers. We don't want to be in the center. We don't want to be in that mode of consciousness. We want to be available for a higher power to work through us and to move through us, right? And I mean, like today I was sitting down in meditation, and I laughed. There were 2 times where I laughed out loud, because I just saw like the controlling nature of my mind and of passion, you know, of this idea that I'm the controller. And literally, I went through every quadrant of my life during my meditation. I went through all the big pictures, all the big decisions that are happening right now as an organization. I went through the big picture of my life more broadly. And I had kind of like, I had like done a little strategic kind of like, you know, investment in each area of my life during my meditation. And I just started laughing. I was like, man, like, you know, okay, great. Like there's all these interesting insights that are coming, but more than anything, right? More than anything, I just want to be close to you, my Lord. I just want to be close to you. Like I don't want to go through life with a big action plan thinking that, you know, I'm the one that's putting it all together. No, like I want to soften into grace. I want to be in a process that reminds me that I'm an instrument. I want to be in that process and in that consciousness that I'm not the doer, but in a small way, in a smile, in a door opening, in a conversation with my friend, let me be an instrument, my Lord. Please let me be an instrument.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Grateful Lay, somebody, I'm not sure, I don't recognize the Instagram handle, but they've been joining us very often here. I'll have to look them up to see who that is. But they mentioned this beautiful phrase that I've heard before, that I love. It says, don't just do something, stand there. You know, normally we say, don't just stand there, do something, you know, like, do something. And it's kind of like, that's the mode we're in right now. Do something. Like, I got to do something. It's like, I called my mom yesterday. She lives in California. California and New York are like, New York is like in America, one of the biggest hit places with coronavirus and lockdown, but California is also a really big one. Like the state went on lockdown yesterday. And my mom was telling me, I was just like, you know, she went to the store one day a week ago, just thinking she's going to pick up some groceries. And like, there was mayhem. And like, you know, and she went to Costco and it's just like, they've been out of toilet paper for like a week. And she's like, do people need that much toilet paper? Like, if you think about it, like people are just swiping toilet paper off. You may not even use toilet paper. You're from India. And so some people just use water. So you have some Indians, it's not a big deal in India as much, but in America, a lot of people, just like crazy, just like swiping toilet paper off the shelf. And it's just like, it's why? Like, you've got enough toilet paper for like a year, you know? And it's but it's this mood of like, don't just sit there, do something. Like there's crisis, there's fear, there's insecurity. I got to do something. I got to react. I got to move. And the flip side of that is, don't just do something, sit there, you know, sit for a moment. Maybe before I just jump into action, without thinking, like everyone else in the world is buying 5 packs of toilet paper. Well, let me do that too. Everyone else is buying all the bread off the shelf. Let me do that too. Let me go ahead and buy all the pasta off the shelf. Let me too. And so it's like, wait, let me just sit here for a second and actually think before I'm just moving into action. And on a funny material level, it's like, okay, well, do I really need that much toilet paper? But on a deeper personal level, it's like, oh, let me check in with myself first. And let me not just check in with my mind, because my mind is the one that gets me in all the trouble. It's not, let me check in with my mind. And like as you're saying, going into all the quadrants of my life, figuring things out. Let me sink back and step back for just a second into that mood of surrender. My dear Lord, how do you want me to move through this situation right now? What is the healthiest way for me to move through the situation for myself? What is the greatest act of love and service I can be in the world right now? And let me please guide that for me right now. And yes, I need to be practical. I need to be reasonable with my actions and take care of myself and make sure I have all my basic needs met. But let me really, before I go into that place of fear, let me just check in with you for a minute and check the beating of my heart and just really kind of, you know, sit for a moment before I just jump into action. You know, that's what I was seeing the comment caught up and
beautiful.
And there were some verses from who would have thought? There's some verses of the Bhagavad Gita that came up that I thought of, and maybe before I pull them up, I wanted to just check in with you if you feel Naushin said, check the beating of my heart. I'm like, it's like we are being spoken to and communicated to every moment through our breath, just through the beating of our heart. Like if you think about, the soul lives in the heart, and God, the super soul, is there as your companion in your heart. With every beating of your breath, every beating of your heart, every pulse of your breath is a message of reassurance. So
we have to pause, right? Like you're saying, it's like, okay, pause, you know, take that moment, right? I'm appreciating it so much, right? Before I act, pause, breathe, check the beating of my heart. What is my intention? What am I going into this experience, into this action? Where is my mind at? Where is my consciousness at? Am I going into it to bring, to uplift, to bring a listening ear, to a caring mood, an intention for transformation? Am I going into it with that intention, or is it unconscious? And so just that you're helping us to sit in it and to stand in it before going into action. I love that, DG. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
There was some verses that came to my mind that I wanted to share from the Bhagavad Gita.
Awesome.
Should we read them?
Yeah, please.
I'm on the 10th chapter, verse 8 of the Bhagavad Gita. If you're looking online, if you go to vedabase.org, I'll even put that here in the comment. vedabase.com. It's a great resource for free online spiritual literature. You get the Bhagavad Gita is there online, and as well as other spiritual literature books. But Bhagavad Gita, if you have a copy at home, the 10th chapter, verse 8, and there's these 4 verses, verse 8, 9, 10, and 11, are said to be sort of like the essence. Like if you were to summarize the entire book into just these 4 verses, it would summate everything that is communicated. And so from verse 8 to verse 11, I think it highlights this way of living, of what does it mean to live from my heart, from within. Not just like, let my feelings move me, but really tap into a deeper inner guide, and how that inner guide functions in our life, and how we access that inner guide. And so verse 8, why don't you go and read verse 8, 10? We're going to read verses 8, 9, 10, and 11, and they're sequential. They're leading up to each other. And each verse will have deeper layers of meaning. So why don't you go and read that first verse?
I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
It's beautiful. So this is Krishna speaking to Arjuna, saying, I'm the source of everything. All spiritual material worlds, everything emanates from me. And if you really understand this properly, you'll naturally engage in my loving service. Like you will give your life to me. You will surrender to me. You will be able to offer this prayer. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace, because you'll recognize that actually I'm the controller. I'm the doer of everything. And that you'll naturally, out of love, surrender unto me, knowing me to be the cause and source of everything. So that's just kind of like base 1. Understanding that there is a God, there is a loving God who is in control of everything and is the source of everything, and that by knowing that, we can engage in a loving relationship. And so then text 9, we'll alternate verses. Text 9, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. So now, okay, I want to give my life to you. What does that mean? How do I give my life to you? What does it mean to be worshiping you with all my heart? The thoughts of my pure devotee dwell in me, it means thinking of me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, meaning engaging myself in service by making myself available in this prayer. And they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. I'll read the verse again without interruption. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to derive great satisfaction and bliss from enlightening each other and conversing about Krishna. But the smile on your face seems that you're experiencing some satisfaction and bliss. And so, if you're experiencing some satisfaction and bliss, leave a heart or a smile so we know you're with us. And so that's what he's saying. So basically, it's like absorb your life. And we've been talking about this the last few days of like, you know what I mean? I have somebody that's going to, a friend of mine who's an artist. I commissioned her to make an image, a verse, because I got a new phone and I want to get a phone case, and I'm getting a wooden case, and I'm going to engrave this verse, 9th chapter, verse 34 of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, absorb your mind in me, always think of me. In that way, you will surely come to me. Because I know when I go on my phone, I'm not absorbing myself in Krishna. I'm absorbing myself in all kinds of other junk very often. And it's just a reminder like, oh, let me, when I go anywhere, let me just, for even a moment, remind myself to absorb myself in something more spiritually uplifting. Remember Krishna in some way, shape, or form. And so Krishna is saying to do that here, to dwell your thoughts and your heart and your service in that. And if you do that, verse 10, read verse 10, Virabhajan.
To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me.
That's the linchpin. So if I devote myself to you fully, well, what about this and what about that? Well, it's like, if you just give yourself to me, if you just surrender and make yourself available, I will give the understanding by which you can come to me. I will reveal how you could be an instrument of my peace. I will reveal how you could be an instrument of joy and light and hope when there is despair, darkness, and sadness. I will reveal how you can come in touch with the beating of your heart and the movement of your breath. I will reveal that to you. And the last verse, verse 11, I'll just read till we get to the verses, and then I'd love to hear more of your thoughts, Vira. He says in verse 11, to show them special mercy. So those people who understood that I'm the source of all material and spiritual worlds, who are dwelling their thoughts and their lives and their service in me, and who have agreed that I will illuminate how they come to me. I, who's dwelling in their hearts, that same heart that we talked about, checking in the beating of the heart, that I, dwelling in your heart, will destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So that revelation comes from within. That when we give ourselves and make ourselves available, we check in with that beating heart, Krishna saying, I will reciprocate with you. And I will from within grant that revelation of heart, of what it means. It's not something that I'm going to seek outside. Just by, if I read the Bhagavad Gita enough times, it's not like a medical textbook that we got to read and get the information, but through humble service and submission and prayer and making ourselves available and faith that the Lord from within, he grants us everything that we're meant to know and be revealed. He grants all of that from within the heart. And so that's the mystical process of finding that deep connection. So I've been thinking about these verses a lot recently, and what it means to stay connected to Krishna in the heart. So I wanted to read them and share them, and also I've been talking a lot, but I'd love to hear your reflections on these verses or anything that came up for you, because I know you have a lot of wisdom.
Just appreciating hearing and yeah, the power of sound, the power of transcendental sound, the power of Sangha coming together, putting God in the center of our life. And what does it actually mean to keep God in our consciousness, to keep Krishna in the center of our consciousness throughout our life, and each action that takes place it's a moment to moment exercise. It's moment to moment. I was listening to a lecture from Anna Swami, and he said that surrender, you don't surrender. You surrender moment to moment to moment. And the idea is that, we're what's the goal? The goal is that, okay, my soul is desiring to express pure love. My soul is desiring. That's its nature, is to express this pure love. And so then I'm trying to come to this place in my life where it's not interrupted. It's not interrupted, right? There's not an obstacle that can come in due to external circumstances that block it. And so in order to come to that platform of uninterrupted, unmotivated, continuous love, that's a moment to moment surrender. Right now I'm feeling stressed out, and so I'm going to go into action mode and frustrated mode, and I'm the doer and I'm the controller. I'm going to go into that mode, right? And it's like, oh, wait a minute, I need to come back, right? Now I have an opportunity to surrender again, that my Lord, right now, that this circumstance is happening because you brought it in to give me an opportunity to remember you, to surrender to you, and in that consciousness, then to engage. And so as I'm hearing you share, it's like, there is that practical element of, let's expose ourselves to spiritual energy. Let's put ourselves, let's plug the iPhone in, plug the charger in, right? And Krishna's talking about those sources. Like, what are those activities where we can remember him, where we can remember our divine mother, Sri Radha. We can remember the divine absolute truth that has unlimited names, that has unlimited forms, it's come in so many different times and so many different traditions. How do we actually stay in that consciousness? And that is, there are external activities that help us. And we talk about this often at the Bhakti Center, is that I want to want my activities in my life to mirror the nature of my soul. So if my soul wants to serve, and my soul wants to love, and my soul wants to be compassionate and empathic, and it wants to be available for service, it wants to smile, then, okay, how do I, those external activities, how do they match that nature? I'm sitting in meditation. I am performing acts of service. I'm putting myself in the company of people that lift me like that. And so that's what I'm seeing. It's like that kind of, how do we plug ourselves in spiritually through mantra? How do we plug ourselves in spiritually through prayer, through Sangha, through reading sacred literature like the Bhagavad Gita? Plug into that power outlet. And then at the same time, just, okay, now it's a moment to moment through my day. I'm practicing spiritual life in the morning. I'm practicing meditation so that I can, through the day, I can surrender. I can remember to surrender. So
yeah, beautiful.
Yeah,
Love
a few thoughts. Just
love it.
jumping
Sweet.
around a bit.
So sweet. So much practical realization, I think, in your own life. I think when you speak, you're very much sharing how you approach your own life. And I think that's what's so endearing about it, that it's so genuine. You know, that it's so genuine that you're not speaking some theoretical platform. Like you are surrendering in that moment to moment. I see that in your life, you know, where you are really asking that prayer every day. And so it's a living example right there. And so
It's a test. I'll say that. Anybody who signs up for it, anyone who wants to sign up for the surrender experiment, it tests us like crazy. Oh my gosh, you know?
Yeah.
Like when it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to surrender to God, and it's all going to be just like rosy, and I'm walking down the flower gardens and the perfect breeze and the perfect day. It's like, no, right. There's going to be challenges, and those challenges are opportunities to actually to take our love to a more selfless level. Those challenges provide those opportunities. And so
Bhakti and spiritual love is not necessarily a prosperity gospel where you surrender to God and material wealth and prosperity follows. You know, sometimes we surrender ourselves and we face hardships, you know, and you know, it's a test of how do we deal with both the ups and the downs. And so it's definitely a test. I was gonna read here. I was looking at this a little bit in the purport of those verses that I was reading. I thought I would read a few sentences from this purport because I think it refers to the consciousness that you're making, and basically we can maybe close with this thought. This is the third paragraph of the purport to the last verse we read, 10:11. This is Krishna speaking to Arjuna, and then Prabhupada's elaborating on the verses. The Lord tells Arjuna that basically there's no possibility of understanding the supreme truth, the absolute truth, the supreme personality Godhead, simply by speculating. For the supreme truth is so great that it is not possible to understand him or to achieve him simply by making a mental effort. Man can go on speculating for several millions of years, and if he is not devoted, if he's not a lover of the supreme truth, he will never understand Krishna or the supreme truth. Only by devotional service is the supreme truth, Krishna, pleased, and by his inconceivable energy, he can reveal himself to the heart of the pure devotee. The pure devotee always has Krishna within the heart, and with the presence of Krishna, who is just like the sun, the darkness of ignorance is at once dissipated. This is the special mercy rendered to the devotee by Krishna. And so I love that it will never understand by making a mental effort. And so a lot of people are trying to understand what's happening now, why is this happening now, what do I do now, etc. And we're just going to run ourselves under a rat race of the mind. You know, I think it was Einstein who mentioned, and I may be wrong on Einstein quoting this, but the same consciousness will never solve a problem which it created, you know? And so if a material mental figuring of things out got us into the situation, and there's a saying I have in 12-step programs, my best thinking got me here, you know? Like my best thinking got me to where I'm at thus far in life. And so I recognize that my own mental effort and thinking is not going to pull me out of whatever situation I'm looking to pull myself through. But there's a different way of operating. that has to be that I want to tap into and surrender myself into. And that's the surrender you're telling yourself. It may be scary, it may seem uncertain, it may seem different, but it's a different way of operating than just relying on my mind and my will and I'm going to force myself into a sense of security. And so I feel that that's sort of like letting go of that ultra self-reliance and putting ourselves into a deeper sense of surrender and grace and opening that self up. And it may not necessarily mean that everything materially is going to start working out for me. And I think we doubt that. Oh, I surrendered and then I still didn't get that job that I wanted. Or I surrendered and, I still got sick and didn't heal from this disease. And that's not necessarily always the translation, but I surrendered, but I was able to find a deeper sense of comfort and meaning behind what's happening to me in my life. And we experience that connection through the devotees, through each other. So through love and through kindness, always comes back to that. Anyways, I was just reading those verses in purport. It's 9:28. You have any closing thoughts for us, Vira? If we wrap up?
Just appreciating you're sharing so many great points and so many great thoughts, and so just practically, today, how am I going to exercise this a little bit more? You talked about standing, before stepping into action, sitting before stepping into action. And so so then today, we have a practice, we have an opportunity at hand to, let me experiment with this consciousness. At every moment, I have the opportunity, every moment, to plug in. Every single moment, I have the opportunity to plug in to the solution of all of the world's problems, of all of my life's problems. And I can do that by pausing before I act and just remembering that in my heart, the Lord is sitting there. The Lord is sitting with me. And that my prayer and my intention is just to be an instrument of his love and her love and grace in every moment of my life. And you can do something practical just like that, and I'm going to go, I go into an online class after this, and it's the same thing, like put my hands together, like, my Lord, make me an instrument, then from there, I go into a meeting about finances. Okay, my Lord, like, let me be an instrument that this process, helps us to remember you're the controller, that we're just shepherds, and then from there, we're like, what are we going into? I'm going into a challenge with a friend. I'm going to meet a sick person. I'm calling somebody whose family has got coronavirus. Like, whoever it is, whatever it is, like, every moment, let me pause. Let me hear Doyal's voice that's, saying, sit with me, sit with God for a moment. Remember that he is with you, that your divine mother is with you in each moment of your life, and then go into your action with that intention. And so that's
beautiful. Every single one. I feel like I can keep speaking about what you're talking on, but it's 9:30. Vira Budra is going, hey, Vivi, good to see you. Glad you tuned in. And so Vira, like you said, he's about to go online to teach the first part of a 4-week integrated lifestyle training. So if you love Vira and love his teachings, it's basically how to take some of these principles into practical way, kind of like spiritually coaching ourselves through a integrated lifestyle. You can go on our website, bhakticenter.org. We've extended our early bird pricing. If finances are an issue for you, reach out and let him know. And we'd love to somehow or other find a way for you to sign up, take advantage of the course. We are also starting today, if you want to move with us, yoga classes at the Bhakti Center are going online starting today at 10 o'clock. I'm about to go and manage the back end and just help make sure the Zoom link goes on. But go to the Bhakti Center website, log in on Mind Body. We'll send you the link and you can move with us. I believe Roy, our beloved sweet Roy, is teaching today. We have a 10 a.m. class and a noon class. And so come join us online for yoga. Join Vira online for integrated lifestyle training. And write to us. Be in touch with us. We love you. We'll be in touch. We will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. And we miss you. I wish I could just say hi and bye to everybody. Sylvia, Karyana. Oh, she's coming to yoga. Great, Karyana. Just do it all day long. But Vira's got to go. I got to go. We love you. Reach out to us personally if you want to stay in touch. We'll be connected to you. And see you next time. Thank you so much, Vira. I love you, bro.
Love you, bro.
Haribol.